the guy that wants to put it in, say, oh, I talked to them, they said it's okay. You got no evidence.
Right.
You got no evidence other than somebody's word, and he said it, and then opposing landowner comes in later and says, I didn't give him permission to do that. I didn't tell him that. I think it should be in writing. I've always said that. If you're gonna be a good neighbor, you need to get the people in writing to say, hey, I'm okay with them sitting,
If
reducing
if
setback.
the planning commission is going to require it, I believe it should be.
Well, and it should be
We're
written,
not gonna
and we don't
require
have
it.
that though right now, right?
And see, they.
Well,
they
see
made
that, and that's why I'm saying it says waivers may be sought by the applicant to reduce the setbacks adjacent to a non-immediate family-owned parcel to no less than 300 feet.
Should we be clarifying to your point what waivers are, not verbal or written waivers?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
planning can do that as part of, when they
Yeah.
say, okay, you have to provide
Right.
a written waiver for
Yeah, when the
this.
application
for
is
this
in
rest.
front of them.
I just, again, when you go, this one doesn't have that many people. And again, I know one of the neighbors, I was told by a person that they had been to this neighbor's house. I think the lady works for the Library of Congress. And she's on a historic piece of property. She's got a cemetery there with a wall on it and all that stuff. She may have been in DC when they got the letter. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So she may come home and like, what the heck's going on here?
That's why we just I sent out the letters yesterday certifying all the
Well,
neighbors.
and I think another thing might be happening too, you gotta be aware of, and I agree with you, Mr. Ingram, it's like you try to trust, but you gotta verify.
Right.
That they really know, hey, somebody might say, hey, I'm gonna put some panels out here, and they go, okay, that ain't no problem with me, but they thinking 6 or 7. Do they realize it could be a whole field
Right.
for the panels? You understand, that is what kind of concerns me, most people don't have a visual of what they might get into.
And for this Rocky Ford coming up, somehow I want everybody to understand that they can tell us, don't you come off those setbacks. I don't know whether, if it's requiring the written waiver, then we know, Mr. Work says, you're gonna be 300 feet from my house, or you're gonna be 1,200 from my line, you're gonna be 1,200 feet from my house. Because we don't have the waiver.
Oh, I got you. Everybody might be different. I might say, well, I ain't really worried about it. I'm 75 foot. Sorry with me, but you might say,
No,
I'm not 75, it's not cut it for me. And we're not going by this thing of 10% says this thing and 9% says this.
parcel by parcel.
Yes.
Because each parcel too.
What about if it's across the state highway, public road?
Still setback.
Yeah, it's still
From
adjacent.
the back, from the
But
property line.
does the adjacent landowner got to sign off on if he's across the road? Because they
Yeah.
not adjacent, but they're not adjacent there.
Well,
They are adjacent to
technically-
across the road.
No, they're not. The state
Mr.
divided, adjacent means joint.
but when they.
That should be a
the way it's always been
clarifying point, that
interpreted,
it's
if they're across the
adjoining
street,
or-
they're adjacent. Because I've always notified people.
Say that again, Greg?
I always notify the.
Yeah,
people
but
across the street.
if this thing is, you can decipher it 2 different ways. Somebody that's across the street are not adjacent.
Yeah, well, let me say this, and he's
You
got.
still would notify them,
You're making a point. Appomattox could not put the courthouse across, even though they own the property across the street. The
The
judge
judge didn't
says
let
that's a whole different piece of parcel and it's not adjacent.
Right.
So
And the state highway is not occupied by anybody. If y'all talking about.
you remember that would come, but
Yeah.
Appomattox.
It's the
But
proper
I don't,
word, adjoining.
but
Adjoining means
but
contiguous.
But if I'm looking at my parcel, the people going across the street is adjacent to me. It's like,
Well,
I don't know.
I've
If you
always
put one
thought,
sentence in there that a state highway does not make you non-adjacent for the purposes of this ordinance,
I like that.
Say, repeat that, does not make you non-adjacent.
for the purposes of this ordinance.
I
That
think,
would eliminate what you're talking about.
I think, I've always believed, he lives across the road. His property's next to mine. We're adjacent.
Yeah.
Especially if
I did
But
too.
like with Appomattox, that judge would not let them move that thing across the street.
And
Because he
it's-
said it won't adjacent. So I don't know, it's crazy.
hypothetically, it could be the road could be a prescriptive easement, and so therefore the properties come together in the middle.
If you word it that way, Bill, then it's making it adjacent. And if he words it just, I had to write it down to decipher what he said. For the purposes of this, it makes it non-adjacent,
I'm getting back over to my.
For the purpose of this order.
makes it
Adjacent.
non-adjacent,
I think it
which
should
means
make
it's
it
not
adjacent.
adjacent.
Right, because the road is separating it.
Correct. And it's not joining. Joining is adjacent, correct, Gary? Adjacent is joining. My adjacent landowner is the landowner beside me. If it's the state highway department, they're not my landowner.
You're adjacent to the road.
You are asking me a
Okay.
question that nobody has ever asked me in my life. And I will tell you,
So-
what I would have said is that if a highway divides two properties, I would still say those properties are adjacent. But I could be wrong.
For the purposes of,
Yeah, I think we could
This
clarify
is
it
our
in our
neighborhood.
ordinance, no matter, any way we wanted to clarify it in the ordinance, we can clarify that.
I'm just, here's my fault. Again, I got a house. I've got my setback from the road, like I've always had. And across the road, somebody wants to put them 75 feet from the property line. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not in favor of that. I don't want it 75 feet.
that's what Bo was saying. 'Cause
Greg,
the line-
if
'cause
Greg,
the
you're saying
line-
you
the line-
could?
the line starts at the road.
right, the line starts at the road. If I own property on the north side of Old Shore Road, right? And I wanna build a 5 acre dwelling, what are my setback requirements?
And you're in agriculture, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
That's 100 feet off the front property line, 50 feet from the side, and 70 feet from the rear.
I got somebody across the road that wants to have theirs. How far are they supposed to be from me? Is it any requirement?
Just say.
Before they can build a house?
Setback distance for a residence is the same as it is for you. They have to be 100 feet off the road, from their frontage along the public road, 100 feet from the property.
And if we were side by side, how far gotta be on the same side of the road? How far they gotta be from me?
They have to be 50 feet for a primary structure. For an accessory structure is 15 feet, like a shed or something like that.
So they can come right and build a house 50 feet from me. And I own the land beside it, but the state divides it, and we're gonna call that adjacent? No, it's not adjacent.
Well, we need to figure out whatever language, because if sit on my front porch, and across the street, the Coates family wants to put panels, not follow the setbacks. That's the difference between me seeing them and not seeing them.
Depending on your buffer, 300 foot with no buffer, 75 foot with good buffer, you still ain't gonna see it. That buffer's gonna take care of that. I don't wanna look at it, so therefore, that's why we got the buffer in place.
Come up with, all right, we'll get in the
Okay,
weeds.
Yeah, and closing staff does support, their request. I know the planning commission did not.
And planning can do that as they do permits,
Anyway,
or something.
that's all I have.
Need some clarification today.
Yeah.
State highway.
We'll
All
take
right,
it to-
so we don't have to do we don't have any more action on Burke Junction?
And just so, the reason why, we had them on the agenda first, because just so they had that, they were the last ones that didn't have an opportunity to come to the work session. So then they had that opportunity, they said, great, they said, second string.
Ordinance to relocate, this is number 4 on the agenda, ordinance to relocate the registrar's office, Administrator Bowen.
So we know we have a deadline, and we're listening to we're listening to the public about what we should do with the Burkeville School. We have a deadline for January 15th. I talked to Catherine, there's no problem by getting an ordinance like that. The problem that her and I agreed, and I told her to stop, and she agreed. We not only got to move, so the voting precinct is also, you got to move. If you do a public hearing now, you put something in the paper and say, hey, voting precinct for District 1 it will be moved. We want to hear what your thoughts, and it will be moved to the Burkeville Fire Department. And by the way, Burkeville Fire Department is okay, we're relocating it there. So is the mayor and the town of Burkeville.
Have you done that in right? Not verbal.
I haven't
In
done
writing.
anything in writing.
Put it in right.
Right. Well, we gotta get orders first, but anyway, but it was there for years, so that's what I'm saying, that's what, anyway, so. But the thing of it is, if you put that in the paper now, it is gonna confuse people
In November.
in November. That's the problem. So we have got to wait after the election and then do the public
And
We don't-
what steps have you taken to notify the registrar that he's moving with the state?
I haven't done anything yet until we do the ordinance.
We didn't write a letter to somebody?
Sarah Allen did,
Sarah Allen did.
Wrote it to who?
Oh,
AG's office.
yeah, but
Attorney General's office.
but we have to do an ordinance first, is the way I understand. So we haven't sent that yet. We gotta do an
Oh,
ordinance.
the letter's still not going.
No. No.
I had a call today, said it was improperly done,
We ain't done anything, so there's no way we done it properly done. Right,
maybe by Sarah, speaking of.
okay.
She's on the electoral board, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
She's one of the.
right. So the first thing to do is we gotta do an ordinance, but we gotta
Wait till
advertise
after
for that
November.
ordinance. After
We got it
November.
After November.
Yes, that's right. That is the first step. And so we are trying to take the right steps, and Catherine's looked at that pretty deep. I don't know, Gary, you've been involved in it, but
Yeah.
I am following her lead on that.
Okay,
Well, you're right. We just have to wait until after the election.
and then start.
That's right, because it's too confusing. It's not, you're just not moving, you're not just moving the voter register to another location. You're moving District 1 precinct to vote. That's where it gets tricky.
So it's two.
You live in both, gotcha,
Yeah, I got
gotcha.
So we'll
Okay.
go, all right? Anything
Okay.
else on
No,
number
no,
four?
I just want you to know what was happening with that, because if y'all give me a certain direction, I've been,
And then you could,
we're slowing it up. Okay,
anything else on number four?
no, that's it.
All right. Number five, Bright System Tax Levy. Logan Presley, I don't see the other one.
Alright, so Christy couldn't make it today, but she did type up something. Y'all all have a copy of what I'm about to read from Christy. When Bright took the levies off of the accounts with single-wide mobile homes, some of the accounts also had personal property in their accounts. The bills were already mailed out and payments were coming in before we realized that there was an error. The few accounts checked to make sure the levies were removed only had single-wide mobile homes in them. She's thankful to Tammy for noticing the levy when she pulled the tickets in, or we would have had a bigger mess on our hands. So far for this year, for 2025, what will not be collected for a single-wide mobile home for fire levies is $498.81. And then for a single-wide mobile home EMS levy, it's $1,247.04, which combined is a total of $1,746.85. There are roughly 126 accounts that have single-wide mobile homes along with other personal property information on it. Below is a breakdown of the amount of levy not collected for 2025 due to personal property on the same accounts as single-wide mobile homes. This is the total levies for the personal property that are in those 126 accounts. So for personal property with the same account as a single-wide mobile home, the fire levy is missing $2,153.15. Personal property in the same account as single-wide mobile home for EMS levy is $5,382.87, which is a combination of $7,536.02. A total revenue of levies not collected for 2025 will be $9,282.87. She has talked to Bright about redoing the personal property program to include another line item in the real estate levy for single-wide mobile homes at a different levy rate. Its estimated cost is $24,000. And you do have the proposal of where she got the quote with it. Her suggestion is to not do anything right now. Next year, herself and her staff can make partial abatements on each levy for single-wide mobile homes, and she's including the estimates already in your records. She said if other counties are watching us and how we are doing the levies, they may also decide to do the two levies on personal property. And if this is the case, Bright will have to update the program. Myself, Logan, mentioned that the BAI user group yesterday when we were talking, but with the loss of two very important people at Bright, who knows what the future will hold for them. But if it stays the same, the user group may pay for these upgrades. So I'm gonna veer off for a minute. The user group that BAI has is combined with three different groups. One is an accounting group, one is a commissioner of revenues group, and one is a treasurer group.
What's BAI?
BAI is our software company. I don't know what the acronyms stand for or if it's just solely BAI. So the user groups, each county that participates in these user groups pays dues. And what they do with the dues is they collect it as a total. And if they have software upgrades that they would like to do, like specifically for Bright, they will take that user due money and pay for that program. So every county that is on Bright will also get that too. So that's where that is coming from. All right, so I'm gonna veer back to her letter. She assured that you have all been hearing some of the same. We don't know what this is. We have never heard of this. Why is the county doing this? Why do I have to pay a levy on my vacant land? I don't live there. I just own property there. What do I need to pay this levy for? And for the most part, it has not been our elderly population. She has mentioned this to Daphne. What about the county putting out a quarterly or 2 a year or yearly newsletter to let our citizens know what is going on in the county? Mailed to each household in the county. She doesn't know if it's feasible after talking with citizens that have no clue what's going on in the county, if this would will help get the word out, especially for the ones that don't do social media or newsletters.
Yeah, I had a lady call me.
Dinwiddie County has one. They do a nice one.
Well, the princess, so I told Tammy, not Tammy, and Christie, I showed them what Prince Edward does, that this goes with their tax bill. They tell where the taxes go, how it's spent, da, da, da. And they told me, Christie said, well, I'll work on that, Steve, put it in the tax bill. But I didn't keep on pushing on it. But that's what you should, that should have been stuck in with the tax bill. And let me say one more thing, Mr. Toad, and I apologize to you.
Mo's my name.
Okay, same. I can't spell it, so I have a hard time with it. So look, going with the people who said, hey, I don't own, there's Christie and Tammy has been sending the complaints, a lot of them to me, okay? And so I've made phone calls after phone calls after phone calls. And the way that I answered the question about, hey, I got land out there, I don't call 911. I said, well, you don't never know if it catches on fire, does I still not? I said, well, hold up for a minute. Did you know 8%? I said, do you have any children in school? No, I don't have no children in school. I said, okay. Do you know 8% of your taxes go to the school system, but yet you don't have any children in school? So this is the same principle. I mean, it is.
Same thing with social service, same thing with the
Right.
circuit court without a criminal.
Right.
So let me get this straight. First off, she suggested we not do anything because it would cost $24,000 to collect 9,000.
She was saying that she didn't think that we should pay the 24,000
Right.
because her and the staff could do the maintenance next year themselves.
So what do you do about this year?
This year, they had the fire and EMS levy taken off the ones that had the single wide mobile home.
The budget-
A single wide mobile home, unless it's part of the real estate, is personal property.
Yes, and it was.
So I'm gonna have personal property on my pickup truck,
Mhm.
but that's no different than that single wide, but I'm gonna pay mine and they ain't gotta pay that.
Well, she was saying the mobile homes are valued at the real estate,
There's something,
tax.
Nottoway doing something.
It's,
You have to get a attorney to make that mobile home part of the real estate,
That's
for it
not,
to be the real estate.
that's not what's going on.
So why are they not being charged if it's personal property?
They're being charged the real estate rate.
So they're still being charged
They live in it and it's being charged at the
at the real estate
higher
rate rather than at the personal
Yeah.
property rate. Now,
But the problem is Rice doesn't
recognize.
designate that,
I see what you're
and
saying.
it wouldn't be fair as for us. This is an entire system upgrade for everybody that uses it, for us to have to pay the $24,000.
To upgrade that.
Because there are other counties looking at doing the same thing, and possibly next year, that whole user group could chip in on that price to
The
get
10 of
the
them do it,
system
and it'll be
upgraded.
$2,400 each guy.
and just to clarify, everybody that got billed that has a single wide mobile home, they paid or are billed what they are supposed to for the real estate tax. What was taken off is just the fire and EMS levy portion because it was taxed at the personal property rate, not the real estate.
Tax for these-
So it would have been overcharging people.
So did it just take off the difference?
No, it took off those two levies for the ones that had the single wide mobile home. That's why she's saying that you're not going to get this $9,000 because it was valued at another rate, and because the tax bills needed to go out, they didn't have time to abate them. And the quickest way to do it is just to take off the fire and EMS levy totals for those ones that had the single wide mobile home.
So 5 acres with a single wide mobile home on
Mhm.
it, got a tax levy for the real estate, on the mobile home and the real estate. But which one was taken off? A figure for the mobile home or for the real estate or for both?
Just the fire and EMS levy portion.
For the whole 5 acres?
Yes. For just the levy portion, not their regular real estate part.
Well, what am I gonna do when all these people, I got 2 pieces of property, got 5 acres with a trailer on it. What am I gonna do when citizens call me and say, vote? Jack Doe over there lives on 5 acres with a double wide trailer. He ain't got no levy on it for the tax, for the EMS and fire. None of the whole 5 acres. He don't have to pay anything, right?
Just his regular rate for the real estate,
Right, but
yes.
no levy
No levy.
at all.
No.
Not even on the 5 acres.
No.
That's not correct. That's not done correct.
I think the abatement next year is supposed to be correct.
It will, but what's it gonna do for this year for those of us who do pay?
And that's the other thing I was wondering, the actual, that $9,000 number, is that the actual number that we're supposed to collect if it was billed wrong? If it was billed at a higher rate and it's 99,000 something, what is the actual rate we were supposed to collect? Should it have been like 7,000 or something like that?
I would have to
Does
ask
she have his
Christie.
number?
I would have to ask Christie.
I see what you're saying, though,
Chris
and
is calling in now.
I'm just thinking that if they don't have to pay any of the tax levy for the EMS supply on the entire 5 acres because they got a single wide dwelling, but I across the road on 5 raw acres and I'm gonna pay it. That ain't right.
I mean,
I don't know any other way you can handle it since we don't know how to build it.
Yeah.
It all goes back to the system
But
that
that,
we use.
but that.
That doesn't make it right or
No,
wrong.
it's not right or wrong, but it's the system that wasn't done on purpose.
Hello, we're having, we're talking about it right now. We're-
Tax the levy. No levies were removed from any of the real estate.
So the 5 acre lot and,
Removed were from the mobile homes on the personal property side.
Okay, so the real estate still got it.
Mobile homes are taxed at the real estate rate, but they are on personal property. So all real estate still got the levies.
Okay.
so
So
the
it's fair.
the dirt got it. And then
The mobile
you
home.
couldn't take that mobile home and charge it to $5
Right, because that's the incorrect amount, right? Okay,
because they're being treated as real
so
estate
they still paid the levy on the dirt,
on the dirt.
on the 5 acres. Okay.
You consider this as the first time we've done this. I'm shocked because I've done system implementation that it didn't have more problems. This, just to have this
It's
is
pretty
really
amazing.
good, especially with Bright. And during that discussion too, we need to seriously start looking at the system because Bright is horrendous. And it's, the more things we start doing different, the less Bright is gonna be able to handle and another municipal program.
Somebody, I don't know what meeting I was at, they were talking about the Bright might not support itself here.
I
But
was
Chad,
gonna
that's part
say,
of our separate.
I do have another thing. So this past Monday, we received notification from Bright that one of the ladies that had been there for years, that was one of the main people to do a lot of our help desk tickets, all of our problems, she passed away. Last year when we went to the user group in Roanoke, it was told that the owner of Bright was looking to sell it and had a couple of interested buyers, but he didn't like the way that they were going to do with the system. He didn't like the way that they were going to go. So Ms. Robin and Mr. Roger that worked there for years was interested in buying it, and they were going to take over the company. Well, Mr. Roger is no longer there, and Ms. Robin is the one who passed away. We do not know what the status is of Bright, because if he was trying to sell it before, we don't know if it's going to continue, if it's going to be sold, what's going to happen. So what we have to think in our mind for future, if they end up closing, which we hope they don't, but if they end up closing, we might have to look at another system. And they're not cheap, and depending on the systems that you look at, there's some that you have to buy an extra component for the real estate, because some of those systems don't support the real estate side.
couple still on the real estate.
Yes. And we may look at something that we can talk with the schools, all the departments, because right now we don't talk with all the
Right.
departments.
What does it cost on a new program? What are you talking about? Close to 50,000?
Oh, no,
It's a
Way,
lot. I
way
don't
more
know
than that.
actual quotes. I know Blackstone currently, because I did ask Philip when he come in the office today, if they were looking other places, and he was saying that they're not cheap. So,
And you
I
gotta
knew they
look
were
at it.
looking, Blackstone was
You gotta look at it, being able to transition and talk to the bank and do the EDI transfers and banking and with the state, and it's a lot.
yeah, so right now, we don't know where it stands. We haven't got any official letter saying anything of what's gonna happen in the future. We just know that she has passed away, and those were our two main people that were gonna buy it. So we don't know what's gonna happen.
All right. Anything else on that topic?
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Christie.
You're welcome. Thank y'all. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, that's fine.
Number 6, Courthouse Committee Administrator Bowen.
Mr. Chairman, if we could, we'd combine number 6 and 7 because it all kind of goes together here with the bowling alley proposals as well. Mr. Chairman, we've got to a point where we're getting to vote to choose a company to construct this courthouse. And we've been in multiple meetings together. The courthouse committee is, of course, Dick Ingram, Boto, the sheriff, Jane Brown, and then Mr. Woodson Irby, who's the only citizen on that committee. And he actually is part of the reason why. Well, that's one of the ideas that he had given me about the bowling alley. So we had 5 bowling alley proposals. Y'all have seen the numbers. Let's say that we sold the bowling alley for $325,000. Okay, you see the numbers of a new courthouse. A new courthouse will cost you the neighborhood. This is round number of $550 or $570 per square foot. $570 per square foot. If we sold that bowling alley, which is about a little over 13,000 square feet, we sold $325,000. We're selling that bowling alley for $26 a square foot. That's hard pill to swallow for bowling. So, and Woodson was probably, he don't like to, him and I don't get along all the time. Okay, it's just, but he makes a point. He'll keep drilling it in you. But we also, doing these process, John said, hey, can we take the original courthouse, the old courthouse, and you heard the answer to that. The footprint is not big enough. But I would like the board to consider to renovate everything that we can. This is just brainstorming out loud and let the public hear it. What if we renovate it? We build a new courthouse to meet the Code of Virginia. Okay, we know we got to build a courthouse to meet Code of Virginia. We take the bowling alley and renovate it, and maybe put social services down there, and maybe the health department, and that's kind of falling in the sense of the health and human services, how the state's divided a little bit. Take the building and social service in and renovate it, and that's where you put the sheriff at, and the dispatchers, or well, then you can renovate this and put the dispatchers up here because the health department. In other words, what I'm trying to just tell you is possibly let's renovate every piece of building we have here.
I would remind you that the school board is discussing Burkeville Elementary also tonight.
Are they?
Their
Okay.
hearing is tonight
About selling it or,
about selling.
okay.
And then next week we'll have our hearing.
But you could take that bowling alley and do a lot of things with it. You know, for office space, clinical area, you can do. And let me back up. Okay, let me say this. And I think Gary, and if I'm missing somewhere, we've had this conversation. The ones that need to be at this courthouse is the 2 clerks, circuit court clerk and the general district court clerk. Oh, and by the way, and get Tammy and the treasurer and the commissioner of revenue back up here.
Right.
Okay. So.
In the Commonwealth attorney.
And Commonwealth attorney. So the Commonwealth attorney, the 2 clerks has to be here, and the sheriff. That's really the 4 disciplines that really need to be here. And I just said social services. I'm just throwing that stuff. I don't want anything to move tomorrow, but we need to look at everything.
And the registers, as we spoke earlier, is still still in motion. I don't know what's going to happen next.
Right. So, but here's the thing about the committee. So I'm going to tie that with the courthouse committee. And this is what Woodson and I would probably disagree. I think the sheriff's building needs to be torn down, and I think Christie's old building needs to be torn down. But let's hear that. Let's hear that doesn't matter either way. Here's what does matter. If I get too many people at the table, they're going to tell us how they, what do you, if somebody needs, okay, what did you tell me about a little while ago, the Commonwealth attorney? What did you tell me a few months ago?
That the employee ratio there has expanded 700% since Mayo Craft.
Okay. what I'm scared of, if I tell somebody, if I get people say, hey, what do you need? What do you need? Do you think they don't tell me what they need or what they want?
There's a
Do you understand? Right,
There's a
right.
difference in wants and needs.
Right.
And what we can do is incorporate the space utilization study too, and all that information, and kind of move some offices around and get what we need on the campus with what we have, with minor renovation instead of a lot of buildings.
But I would, wouldn't you be leery to give away a building that the Nottoway County on, not the school board on? You understand what I'm saying? That building's already built. And it's got handicap bathrooms, it's got handicap accessibility.
And if you're talking about the building down there too, the 26,000 square foot, that's absurd. We might as well keep it and use it for swing space for now
That's what it is.
till later.
Right, well, you can make, or build it and let people stay there. And if we move the health department now, I still get their rent. If they move the crew, I don't get their rent anymore.
And you're correct in keeping the same disciplines together.
Well, that's what I'm just saying, maybe it's time, and I don't want to tell what the board to do, but look, you saw the proposals. You have the right to reject the proposals, but I am getting very leery with them. Now you tell them, hey, they must get rid of the school. I need space to build a courthouse. We need a space. We got to keep functioning as a government.
Steve, to your point,
Right?
I agree with you, man. I think we, the more it gets involved, the more convoluted it's going to be, the less it's going to get done, and the slower the project's going to be. I think we can go ahead and, with all due respect, and thank them, the courthouse committee. I think we can free them of that burden and disseminate that committee. And also, I think we should. I have a motion put on the floor for all the bowling alley proposals. If y'all want to hear that.
Sounds like you've got two motions.
Yes, sir.
To reject them.
Go ahead.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to reject all the bowling alley proposals that was presented. I believe it was 5 of them in total.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And that second motion would be to go ahead and disseminate the courthouse committee, disband the courthouse committee effective immediately.
A second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried, 5-0.
All right, and we'll be contacting. We haven't got that far yet, so.
Steve's on the roll.
No, but I appreciate y'all listening to that. I do want to say that doesn't mean somebody's moving down there yet. We don't know that. If we do fix it, it can be used as an incubator for future businesses or something. I just don't know of a bowling alley. And I heard some good proposals, but it didn't make it the first 2 times. And we got a nice building down there, y'all. A very nice building. Anyway.
Right.
All right. Do we have other folks coming?
We got this gentleman here behind us, and that when you go in closed session, we will get started on the next, but I think John has got.
John's next.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't know if anybody else.
No,
This
that's.
is so, he's already.
Yeah.
Well,
Michael.
thank you for coming. What's your name?
I'm Mike Lockerbie.
Michael Huckabee. Okay, nice to meet you.
That's with the Burke Junction.
No,
He's.
he's gonna talk about the siting
Oh,
agreement.
okay.
Anyway.
All right, number 8, taxes. Mr. Rourke had asked to have a few words this evening.
Yeah, so guys,
Okay.
I've been throwing my thoughts around, and I'm sure it's a mess in FPL. So I need y'all's help with something, because I don't know that it's anything that we can truly bring to fruition. So I wanted to share where I'm at with this and y'all's thoughts on it, because I don't know that it's attainable. Okay, so we start with, I'm gonna use John math. The budget's roughly $60 million. One of the things I want to clarify for the people at home mainly is Nottoway County is not taxing for real estate and personal property the $60 million that comprises our budget. It's not. The total amount of real estate is 5.9, rounded up, 5.9 million, and then 3.9 million on personal property. That's what the county is taxing. There seems to be growing disdain that Nottoway is taxing its citizens for the 60 million that comprises our entire budget. That is not the case. So clarifying that, so you're roughly looking at,
So those funds come from the state
right,
And federal government.
and federal government.
right. And that's what we were saying. So 9.8 is local. The remainder of roughly the $40.2 million is from state and federal monies. So the question I would have for y'all, this is where I ran into it, where I feel like what I was looking to do was probably unobtainable. So how much of the total 40 million from the state and federal government can we spend, let's just call it willy-nilly? How much of that can we spend, or can we cut?
We can't,
That's what I'm saying.
we cannot.
No, we cannot.
It's
That's what I'm saying.
pass-through money for already mandated services by agencies that we have to spend. We don't have any purview over it other than pass it on.
Right. So that's one of the clarifications that I wanted there. So
But it does have to show in our budget though, John.
Right.
Because with this money coming in and then money going
Going
out.
out, that's right. So technically, one could say without the state and federal government's money, we have a budget $10 million. Yep. $10 million.
And of that, that's the money we could pick and choose.
Right. So with that, all right, so I thought, fleeting thought, but it was still a thought that, okay, if we had $60 million that we were in control of spending, how do we avoid this 30-year debt? Well, it looks almost impossible. My thought was that, we had 60 million, we forced the cuts of 10%, which would save you 6 million a year, right? For 5 years. And I'm going off numbers just for clarification to the public and anybody that put in there. I'm going off of numbers that was provided harmoniously by VML Vaco Finance when they came in and said, as a guesstimate, 25 million because of projects they had done before. So let's just say 25 million would be what a courthouse cost as they presented to the board. So if you could save the 6 million times 5 years, man, that looks great all of a sudden, right? That you could save $30 million. But the problem is we can't do it. We can't do it. The only thing that we could force any type of cuts into is the $10 million. And how deep can you force cuts in that? And that's leaving. And this whole thought that I was trying to put together was leaving, unfortunately, the tax rates where they're at. You can't cut them to accomplish any of this. It would have to be there for 5 years. You'd save the $30 million. Oh, maybe you could be your courthouse and transfer station if you want to do it. It looked great. It was just like, but again, a fleeting thought. So the only conversation I want to have now is of the $10 million, guys, can we force any cuts? And the reason why I say that is
Ms. Norton, I asked you a question. And the question I asked her is to see what the savings would be if we cut all non-comp positions on the constitutional officer.
And I'm gonna
So
get
that,
Logan to get that list.
so personnel is where you go.
right.
And
And
the
when you,
administration's only got 5 people, it's got 2 vacancies.
when you look at the constitutional officers,
Well, 3, the LRA too.
3, yeah, so 3 vacancies.
constitutional
So
officers,
there's not much left
Right.
there.
part of their salary, constitutional officers, just a snippet is paid by the county.
So that's not even a big,
That's, you know,
not the whole salary.
How much of that $10 million goes to school?
I think so.
6.2.
Yeah.
Of the 10,
yes.
how much can you cut them?
You cut 2, lose 7. Or lose 6.
You can get, you can cut them, but you lose federal
It's like
money.
you're
but
cutting
you-
them out. You're cutting
You're
them out.
cutting out programs, but you can cut out programs. I mean, that's what,
But
I've
do
heard
we
that,
need-
I've
do
heard
we
that
need-
some of the
Do
old.
we need all the programs that the school has on?
You pay by the SOQ,
We-
by your
Come on.
That's what the meeting was about this spring. I mean,
formula. You pay that by that formula.
It sounds like a whole lot like the grant program.
Yes.
We give you $1 million if you spend $1 million.
Yeah, well, and part of what you're talking about, Bo, and I don't disagree, and I might get kicked in the teeth for this one, but line up. The problem here is, and I don't want to get in the weeds and it may sound like that, but we're talking about, to your question, when government implements a program, unfortunately it becomes forever and ever amen. And the problem with that is it doesn't need to, and that makes more schools and it makes more people dependent on government programs, and that is not the purpose of government, period. I know I'm preaching to, I know I'm preaching to the choir.
Unfortunately, it's gotten that way.
And that's the thing. So again, what programs were instituted, to your point, were instituted with the purpose of maybe increasing some or fixing some that has now become a fixture that shouldn't be. I'm not trying to take anything from the children. The kids
Oh,
need
no,
everything they can get. But the problem is, it's no different than the social service program. It's nothing different than some of the stuff that's being talked about for the next election. Tax the people now and implement new programs to social services, pay them off taxpayers' money to supplement what the big beautiful bill is taking. That is crazy to even think like that. But that is what some of these programs are doing. There are other programs that I'm not just talking about, look at the school like you brought up. That should be everywhere. Is there any tax dollars supplementing programs that never had the intentions of being in place full time?
Prince Edward cut crossroads.
What did I ask you about? Y'all got the emails, right?
What non-government
The
programs?
NGOs, that is, I mean,
I think
it's not,
they cut 10 grand off. I mean, they're still funding.
yeah, and see, it's like, I sat on, the steps board as well. And
Now?
no, I used to.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to. And one of the things I found out at the beginning was the return on the money, you can't question. The return on every dollar that we get, you can't question.
Nottoway is a big user of crossroads.
Yeah. And the thing is, but we still get the services whether we give them $1 or not.
That might come to a halt, though. If the
That-
other counties follow suit, then you won't get the services.
And see, and that's the problem. It's like you look at, in other words, how much, because I was willing, when I was first looked at this thing, and I think I brushed it by you, but in a perfect world, if my thought had been anywhere near on, cut 10% cut across the board on your 60 million, 5 years, you leave your taxes where they're at 5 years, you saved your 30 million. Guess what happens out then? You don't have to go in debt for 30 years, but it's not obtainable. It's just not obtainable. That's the reason why I say instead of drafting all these papers, making some pie charts, anything like that, I said, well, let's have a conversation here because I don't see where it's obtainable, but it was worth the conversation and where we can do what at, because even if you cut 10% off of what we got there, $1 million, how far would that go?
Long way.
Yes.
Depends on
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's one
$1 million
spot.
will service
That's
a
one
big debt.
spot.
Yeah. 'Cause you gotta start-
1.2, 1.2.
1.2.
What it would take.
Is that what,
But-
take service debt 1.2, so that million go a long way?
Yeah.
I'd rather come up with the 0.2 than the 1.2.
Yeah.
The problem with the whole deal with the taxes is soybeans are really low right now.
Right.
The input costs are the same. Not only we don't have enough money, they charge more money to the taxpayer. They come up with the more money. Soybean, you can't do nothing.
Right.
We come up with the more money, but the money we came up with still isn't enough.
But we force the
And
more
I
money
don't
on the
wanna walk
taxpayer.
away.
Whereas the farmer gonna force more money on what he's getting for his.
But I don't want to
food.
walk away from this table tonight, people thinking in the public that we're looking at cutting vital services or cutting the schools because our school scores are abysmal. God bless Marsha Martin, she's trying, some of the things have come
Oh,
ahead.
I'm
But y'all
100%
saw
for the
it in
school.
the paper recently, our school scores are low. And when you got low school scores, you're not gonna attract business and industry.
But I got a simple-minded question, because I'm a simple-minded individual. So if you got less attendance in school today than you did 10 years ago, but the cost of that went up 5 times that amount, why is that?
Fixed cost.
I'm with you, man.
But fix it like a car dealership, so if you sell
Well,
10,000
a bus costs, and I don't know
Fuel,
what bus
fuel to
costs.
run the bus, et
So
cetera,
10 years ago, the
electricity,
bus
the whole
cost
9 yards.
25,000, now bus
Let
costs.
me tell you something, Bo. When I was back teaching years ago, I used to always say this, when the scores would come out, I would say, hey, and you agree with this because you know what I'm saying. You got to look at the raw material that comes in there. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
The students are the raw material. what you do with that raw material and how they interact with that determines whether you're gonna get good scores or not.
Right.
I can tell you, one year the scores might go up, next year go down because the raw material that's coming in the doors of the school has changed. The ones that were in the 5th grade have now gone to the 6th grade. They had good scores. Well, guess what? The 4th grade has now come to the 5th grade. They didn't have very good scores in the 4th grade.
Right.
So what's gonna happen? See what I'm saying? Just like your farm, if you don't put the right fertilizer on there, if the ground won't take it, it doesn't matter what you put on.
But
You
if you
throw
put
all the
less
fertilizer
chicken,
you
if you
got
put
on there.
less chicken in the chicken house, you need less square footage.
Well, what I'm saying
We
to
got
you
less
is,
chicken in it. I'm not comparing a cow to a chicken. I don't want to.
So, bro, I looked at it, I think it was 2012. And ADM at that time was 2,400 children. And now it's 16, they didn't even make the 1,700 that they put in the
But the
budget,
cost is really that much.
1,653.
So really we could use part of that school for some of the offices we need, because we heat and add the whole thing, we need less square footage.
Y'all
I'm
ain't
just
giving
talking.
all these examples.
Yeah.
Look at the car. A car years ago, you get good one for 25, 30,000, the same car now.
Goodbye,
It's
F,
50 or
brand new
60,000.
Ford F-250.
I know all
Everything's
about that.
going up.
I know all about that. That's the reason one of my vehicles got 552,000 miles on it. I could upgrade that thing 10 years ago, but I can't afford it.
Can I tell you something crazy about a pencil? And y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but it's
Let's hear about the council.
all right. So I saw something one time that was talking about how many people come kind when you walk into a store and purchase a pencil.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
They tell you about the wood from a specific tree that was transplanted from the New England into another place, I think in South America or anything. They were transplanted. The eraser comes from a gum tree in Malaysia or something like that. These little barrels come from another country. These little barrels. And people think that's lead, but it's not lead. It's compressed iron.
Graphite.
Graphite, yeah, compressed iron, graphite. And they say that one pencil, when you pick it up, you have come in contact with over 1,000 people responsible for making that pencil. So it's kind of to your point, and not everything's like that, but
That's a really good, comparison. If anybody else at this table, me especially, would have said that, everybody would have said, we getting in the weeds, but since John said it, it's
Well, I'm gonna pay them
All right.
back and see that pencil,
Hey,
if they
we're-
throw them in the trash,
now we're
and they use
Hey, good job.
computers.
All right, Mr. Rourke, was that a good discussion?
yes, sir.
I thought so.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, John.
I just want to do something, and I know y'all do too. I just,
I'm gonna help.
All right. So about 2 weeks ago, somebody came by my desk and said, hey, you can get back in the Antwerp project. You don't have to recuse yourself. So I said, why is that? They said, because now it's a group. It's multiple people. It's not just those 2 parcels that were involved with my business, which is the bank. So we sent it I asked Mr. Elder's office about it, and we sent it back to Richmond to the Conflict of Interest Board, the COIA Council. And this is, we got a response that yes, you're considered part of the group now. As long as I disclose that my company has an interest, then I can perform just like a supervisor, like any of you
right,
on that
Right.
project. And I'm glad that I can do that because it's gotten so big now
right.
that we need everybody that can do it. So I have to read this. Statement of disclosure of conflict. This is to the Nottoway County Board of Supervisors from William J. Collins III, Chairman, October 9th, 2025. Declaration of interest with respect to the Rocky Ford Solar Project. This declaration is made with respect to the transaction in which a supervisor of the County Board of Supervisors has a personal interest in a transaction involving the county, an applicable exception which permits said supervisor's participation. The Virginia State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act, in accordance with Section 2.2-3112B1, requires this disclosure to be recorded in the county records in any case in which I have a personal interest in a transaction, but my participation is permissible. Therefore, I make the following disclosure. The transaction involved is pursuant to Virginia Code 58.1-2636. The Board of Supervisors and Ampliform Rocky Ford LLC are negotiating a siting agreement for a solar project facility. And application for a special exception permit by NW-Rocky Ford LLC for a solar facility within Nottoway County, Virginia. My personal interest affected by this transaction is as follows. The above referenced transaction by the Board of Supervisors will involve the approval of a special exception permit for the construction of a solar facility project within Nottoway County. My employer Citizens Bank and Trust holds deeds of trust on several parcels that are being considered as part of the solar application. However, in accordance with section 2.2-311B1, because the application includes a group of 3 or more persons affected by the transaction, including multiple landowners, participation is permitted upon this declaration. I will be able to participate in the transaction fairly, objectively, and in the furtherance of the public interest. William J. Collins.
Could you read that again?
I certainly can. I do have to mention this anytime we're going to discuss Amphiform, so if you guys could help me remember to, I have to just mention that this is filed. All right? Yes. And it's got to stay there for 5 years.
Okay. Andrew, you take care of that.
Good homework, Chairman.
So,
Well, it was, somebody said it, and I was like, well, let me look.
Very good.
So, okay, we're gonna have, we're gonna go to comments, and then we are gonna do a closed session.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vice Chair Norman, do you have any comments?
Attended a very informative solar safety meeting last night at the Crew Volunteer Fire Department. It dismissed a lot of myths, but it was very, very informative about what could catch on fire, what couldn't catch on fire, and just strictly, no political agenda, just strictly safety. So our firefighters can, if that comes to pass in our county, would know how to react. And it was a very good meeting.
That was Bubba Hart.
Yeah. Also wanted to mention, I've toyed with mentioning this for several weeks, but I received a letter in the mail from Richmond, no address, no signature, and it threatened me about voting on solar. I'll listen to anybody, call me up, face to face, whatever, but I take no credibility and no credence in letters that threaten me and have no name on it. I base all my decisions on facts and all the multiple documents we've seen. So I just want the people to know there's no amount of threats that's going to change my mind on educated decisions. I don't like threats. And they said they're going to see that I'm unseated in the next election. Well, so be it. A lot of the decisions we make are not popular, but I base those decisions on a lot of education and reading like all of you do. And so I just want people to know, not afraid. Thank you very much.
Ms. Norton, I gotta go to bed. Can I use that paper?
Supervisor Ingram.
I don't comment, but I read comments that people make. And as I said before the meeting started, I always try to consider the source. Who made this comment? And how did they get to make this comment? What drove them to make this comment? And a lot of people are misled. They don't know. I had a lady call me.
I don't know if misled, they're uninformed.
No, they're misled.
You think misled?
Yeah, I know they're misled. But lady called me, and I've come to find out after we talked a little while, I figured out she lived right up the road from me. She didn't know where I lived, and I didn't know where she lived, but she lived right up the road. Anyway, so she was saying, I just don't know how I'm gonna pay this tax. I said, well, we had a hearing back in May. I said, did you know anything about it? No. I said, do you get the Courier record? No. I said, so I think back to what, people hear things. They're hearing gossip. They're not getting facts. And so I told this lady, she said, I just don't know how I'm gonna pay this. I said, well, look, I know our treasurer is very willing to cooperate with you. You need to talk to her and see what you can do as far as making these payments and so forth. But her telling me that she didn't know anything about the hearing, her telling me she doesn't get the local papers, that scares me.
Is that uninformed or misled?
It's a little bit, it's uninformed on that part, but some of the other things I say are misled, like I'm born with a silver spoon in my mouth. That's misled.
Right.
I can tell you that.
Right.
That we line our pockets.
Yeah, we're lining our own pockets back
I
here.
agree with that.
Gotta watch your back.
Yeah. And somebody wanted to take us to call the state police in. get them removed. I'm thinking to myself, if you people really knew,
Well, the math, no matter whose 5 butts are in these seats, the math would have been the same when the rescue squad said we need
To keep
We had
them
no
up.
choice.
to keep them running.
we had no choice. I mean, we've got to do what we've got to do for the citizens. And I've said all along, I'm only going along with the things that are good for the safety and welfare of the people in Nottoway County. That's why I'm here. I've been a lifelong resident, and the reason I decided to even try to fill a seat was because I worried about my county and my district. And when I vote majority of the time on what the people in my district say to me. They call me up and they say, hey, I don't want this, I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. And so I try to inform them if they're misinformed and say, hey, well, do you know, just like I told that lady, I said, did you know this was gonna happen? No, I didn't know it was gonna happen. I said, I'm just shocked at that bill. I got another phone call from another gentleman. I think this is something we might ought to look at too. He wanted to know, well, we got this fire and EMS, so why am I still paying the $25 on every bill? I think that's something we ought to look at. Because here's the man, he told me, I got 3 vehicles, I get this EMS tax, I get the fire tax, then I still got to pay $75. Where's that $75 going? He said, I thought that went to the fire and EMS.
It still is. That's how it's written in the budget.
But what I'm saying to you is, I think it confuses people. They see it, they see that $25.
Bo and I talked some about a kind of a fee, but we didn't know how to collect it. If you've got real estate or you've got personal property that it's tied to, then there's something, if somebody doesn't pay, there's something that we can do.
So Bill come up, said 15, don't hold these numbers exact, but it says 15,800, that's right, 15,800 roughly citizens, boy, man, girl.
Right.
In the county. To be fair about it, you could come with a per head, but here's the bad thing about it. The person that don't really own nothing, they ain't gonna pay the taxes and they ain't gonna pay the $140 a head.
You can't
Okay.
So how do you
tax-
collect?
You can't collect from a child, so that's.
No, that's,
No,
no,
it'd
you're
be per head
collecting from
basis.
their, you're collecting from the
Just like
parents.
tax.
Just a house, he's talking about, so a house that had 2 people that paid 280, household paid 280, 2-person house. paid
Well,
280.
here's something I didn't mention to Bill because I didn't think about it at the time, but I sure thought about it a bunch since then. Say you got, and I just recently asked how many patients was in Heritage Hall, and I was told, I want to say 247, but that could be $100.
Right.
I'd be willing to say that 200 of them are not Nottoway County residents. Fair to say, just hypothetical number.
And percentage of calls for service.
9 times that much to go to Heritage Hall to pick up a patient. They don't own any personal property, they don't own any real estate, they get the same treatment that each one of us have to pay for. But you can go back to it and say, hey, we don't use social services, we're paying taxes, we don't have no children in school, we're paying taxes. It's really argumentative how you can
Try to be
decipher
fair,
that.
to be
Yeah,
fair.
you gotta be fair, and I mean, it's no way of being fair. Unfortunately, it's not. Because if you charge the per head, you can't collect it. If you got tax levy on them, they don't pay 3 years, you're gonna get this stuff. Selling on court, I said.
Well, you look at, you talk about Heritage Hall, how about the correctional center?
Same thing,
How about Piedmont?
correct.
How about the sex offenders?
Hey, if you really want to get off with the citizens, I busted a couple of them, and I know one of them at least watching. He said it won't fair. He said it ain't fair. He said, so I work all my life to acquire things. The more I got to pay. I said, my friend, for those who've had much, much is required. He slammed the truck door and up the road he went. But it's true. Those who have much, that's what my insurance agent told me one time.
Supervisor Rourke, did you have anything further?
I ain't had my closing comment yet, by the way. That ain't my closing
I
comment.
know, but Mr. Rourke has got,
Yes, sir. All right.
you've interviewed.
Yeah,
Interjected.
well, being y'all are there, so just so y'all know, we, me and Mr. Toad and Mr. Hyde and Mr. Bowman's gonna be joining us as well. It's gonna be meeting with the emergency squad as the emergency squad, executive board on Tuesday. And I'll go ahead and say it publicly. My intentions there is to go to punch that 18-month clock to start that. And my reason is
18 months to do.
for the county to roll, for the squad to roll over to the county. Because it's gonna take roughly about 18 months with the licensing and stuff. And the biggest reason for that is I feel like, number one, I don't wanna leave anything unfinished here before I leave. And I just want to say, well, if it takes 18 months, we've got just over 2 years for this board here. All right, there's going to be rollover with this board. And then, you know, and I'm not assuming anything, don't know, nobody assume anything at home, social media, anything. What is Steve going to do? Is Steve going to stay beyond, want another contract? Does he want a mini contract? Does he want to stay 10 years? Do you see what I'm saying? So there's a chance you get a new board. There's a chance you get a new county administrator. So the thing is, I don't want to walk out of here leaving a mess with social, anything with emergency services on the next board and potentially the next county administrator for all the work that's been done. Right now, the emergency squad is in a good spot. They've got fully staffed, and they got some other stuff they want to brief us about at the next meeting on Tuesday. But more importantly, while everything is in a good place, that's a good time. They are ready to make the transition.
That's very important that you just said that. They told us that they're ready to start a clock,
That's real estate and the equipment.
as we know it.
Yeah.
Thus far, nothing in writing yet. As we know it.
The timing is right because we can project it in the next budget projections.
That's right.
Now,
And the bigger part is, it's like you said, eventually you've got to understand that the county is going to have to go to the cost required. And you hope that the billing offsets it, but the cost required right now is $750,000 per unit. That's $2,250,000. That's what we're looking at to try to budget to run those 3 ambulances 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what the call volume is dictating right now that we have. So that's where we're at, but I wanted to share that because I'm sure we're going to have an update for the board Thursday night.
Just as Mr. Wood said, this is budget time. It will be January 1st before we know it. We'll have to have this discussion. So.
And the citizens need to realize this isn't going away. This is going to be an ongoing expense forever.
Yeah, and that's
Just
just why
why we just don't know exactly how it'll be collected on forever.
right.
But it will be going on expense there.
Mr. Toad, I believe it's your turn.
I really ain't got no whole lot to say.
I'm sorry.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Are the cattle prices hold?
Cattle prices, feed cattle holding, fat cattle are coming down a little bit. That don't support the feed cattle price. Now I'm getting in the weeds. I enjoy serving on the board, the EMS board. I'm speaking of what you were just talking about. They're very transparent with us.
Mhm.
It's been good meetings with us. I did find it very surprising that it's a lot of citizens that did not know that it's about 95% paid
No,
staff.
they did not. They did
No,
not.
they didn't.
People did not know that. I had 2 at the stockyard tell me Wednesday they had no idea. And that made them understand the levy a lot more.
Right.
But I had those same 2 said, well, the volunteer fire departments are. Why did y'all have to go up on taxes for them? One of them said, I've been filing, they didn't ask for nothing, but y'all give it to them, so they won't pay.
That's the same, it's the same money.
The same event as the level funding.
I understand, but that citizen said, why not reduce the taxes, not get the fire departments nothing because they didn't request anything? Have you been asked that?
You still gotta give them money to operate.
You gotta give
Well, I
what you
understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but you're getting that money now from the levy to where we were doing it anyway.
Right.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
He made a really valid point.
Well, the answer to that is that the 2 years worth of planning for the radio didn't include any funding.
Yeah.
And so then we voted on the radio.
We can tell them that we can put part of it on the chaos, not the chaos, because they have a lot, but on the new animals.
Look, but Mr. Chairman, let me just clarify this, is whether the sticker money, we're talking about the sticker money, that is going back into the general fund. However, Buddy just sent out something to you guys just recently about how much equipment the fire departments could need. So that's a possibility that's gonna be earmarked for that. But no matter where that money went, as long as you're pulling money out to general fund to balance your budget,
$900,000 this time.
you still got a problem. Okay, so I just, you gotta.
I'll speak to that. I've had people asking me, where's all the money? We thought we had so much money and there was so much money in reserve.
17 days.
I'm talking about being misled.
So, almost 2 years ago, when we finally started, things were broken. Bills hadn't been paid. Nothing was reconciled. We finally get to where we understand, like, oh, this is really bad. So the deficit spending started in 2018. They went through, you had you're number 6, 5 county administrators at the same time. Not transparent with the board to my knowledge.
Right.
You have to speak to that, John. I wasn't there.
No,
But-
you did spot on.
Okay, so between 2018 and when we came on, I think it was a little over $6.2 million had left the coffers of this county. Just because the budget didn't match the expenditure. So then the first budget that we did, we set up a 1.6 draw. Didn't fill vacant positions, so some of that stayed.
Yeah, we really true about 1.3, 1.2.
Okay, so we left 400. Then this year, we left those vacant positions still in the budget, and we said we're gonna draw 900. So now we should be less than that.
We're hoping.
The LRA, we've done a much better job this year with expenses. There's things we're deferring because we did have an inquiry, so we're waiting to see what's gonna happen. But that's where the money went. Well, some of it, I guess. There's probably
A big portion of it.
a big portion. We talk about the landfill as a loss. It's hard to do that when it's not a business. It's a service. So that service costs these citizens $400,000 a year. The idea of expanding and trying to go private, we need to look at that because that's another idea. The idea of just doing the tipping station, those numbers I didn't, because then you still got to pay haul and I didn't, but I like that idea of maybe if somebody would buy it. And that takes away that $400,000 service. The surrounding counties that have landfills, their citizens dump for free. So if we did the tipping station at Hall to Amelia or Hall to Lunenburg, citizens are still gonna be paying that, however much that is.
So you're saying the surrounding counties that did sell it, the private companies, the citizens get to dump for free?
There's your say.
The only unfortunate part about that is we're gonna get a lot of trash in Multnomah County.
Well, that's,
I don't think we have enough.
My
room.
trash in my place goes to Lunenburg.
Because Lunenburg's got a lot of land.
and that may be, John, if that other 90 acres is still not, we're not
Yeah, we got
big
to-
enough
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, like Lunenburg was it 1,000 acres?
Well, I mean, there's so many people, oh yeah, because he bought another 400 acres
He did that.
over there. But, you know, we can always say this, okay, we got a huge group that don't want solar panels on farmland.
Mhm.
Somebody want to sell 500 acres?
For landfill,
Landfill.
I got about 375.
I
All
mean,
right, well, that was the end of my closing comments. Mr. Chairman, was in your closing
That was my
comments?
closing comment.
All right. We move right along.
All right, has everybody got the language on their page?
I've got, I can do that one.
Yep,
All right,
must be number 11.
I move that the Board of Supervisors of Nottoway County, Virginia adjourn into closed meeting pursuant to Code of Virginia 2.2-3711. A8, consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. And A29, discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offers, and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding a solo siting agreement.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to close session.
Thank you, Logan.
Ready to have a seat? Chairman?